All right. Coming to you from Jolly Roger. I'm trying a new tagline here. We're calling it Jolly Roger, where pirates go to play. We're going to try and see how that works out. Today, we actually have people in the audience watching us, too. We got Bill. We'll hear from Bill later on today. Actually, what we're going to do today is we got a little bit something different is, I don't know what we're going to call it right now, but I'm just going to say women in sailing. Any of you who've ever gone sailing, I think we see a lot of men. And we don't see a lot of ladies out there. And so I thought we do have ladies in our club who sail. So I thought I would get them together. And, so what would you say if somebody said to you, women should not be on a sailboat?
That's not true.
That's wrong.
What do you mean?
There's a place for a woman on a sailboat, whether you have a woman that really, really wants to get involved with sailing or somebody that really doesn't like to do as much work. And as long as the people you're with are good with that, there is no reason women can't be on a sailboat.
I guess what I didn't do is I jumped right in. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us who you are? I'm sorry. We'll start with you, Judy.
Okay.
Betty's giving you that little pointer finger.
She is.
She's kind of shy. Not really.
I'm Judy Owens. My husband and I have been in Jolly Roger since I think 1986 or 87, somewhere in that range. So we've been around a long time, seen a lot of stuff. We're not the oldest people in the club. Betty's been in the club much longer than we have.
No, I believe that. I'm Betty Mann Warren, and my husband was Commodore in 2003. And I think we joined in 87 also, but
really?
Ed and I,
that's my phone.
As a partner, started sailing in 83.
Okay.
And I was his first mate. As you see, my shirt says first mate.
I should have that shirt as well. Yeah.
My daughter made this.
That's beautiful.
Put this on there, but I sewed the zipper in it. It was a over-the-head shirt.
Okay, now you're going to have to tell people because they don't know. We can't see it. You used to make sails, right?
Yes, for 25 years I worked for John Greiner, the sail maker.
Because that looks like a zipper that would have been on a sail or something, huh?
No.
No?
Oh, no. This bought at probably Joanne Fabrics.
Oh, okay.
So what Betty has on is actually a pullover sweatshirt that she made over into a zip-up sweatshirt. And then it looks like cross-stitch where you've got first mate with the ship's wheel.
Yes, that was my daughter did that.
That's beautiful. But
that's
pretty
what nice.
And I
that's
put
really
these
nice.
pockets on it.
So she used her sail-making talents, her sewing talent. I'm sure she has more than just sail-making talents when she sews. But
yes, at one time I had 9 children in my house, and so I sewed quite a bit for the 4 girls.
Now, you had a sewing machine for sails, and then what'd you do? Have another sewing machine to make clothes on, or could you use the same one?
No, it's totally different sailing, and you need a more high-powered, because you sew a lot heavier stuff when you're sewing a sail, especially on the corners, where you put all of the extra pieces in there to make it strong enough to hold the pull.
Did you ever sew your finger?
No, but I went beside my finger one time, and that didn't feel very good.
But you didn't hit it. You didn't get blood on the sail?
No.
I'm just wondering. That could happen. I don't know.
It's possible.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen. Have you ever seen that? Those new things, those Sail GP. They look like they fly. The boats fly on the. Have you seen those on TV at all? Well, anyways, one of the rules that they have right now is they have to have one woman crew member. Because they're trying to promote women in sailing. And there's been a lot of discussion about whether the ASA certified races should also mandate a woman crew person. What do you guys think about that?
I think that they should be there if they want, not being mandated.
So you don't think
I
that should be
agree.
part of the rules?
No.
I don't. I think I
Interesting.
agree with Betty. I think that if you want to sail, you should be able to sail, but it should be the woman's choice on how involved in sailing she wants to become. Men have the same choice.
So you don't think the team should have to take a woman?
No.
No, I think I think I don't know what that would do to like a morale kind of thing on board. I mean,
Okay.
the team atmosphere of it. If the part of the team feels like they had to take somebody, not necessarily wanted to, I'm not sure that would promote the good feelings between the crew. And if you're going to be doing some pretty competitive sailboat racing, you need to have that camaraderie and be able to work together without having any kind of feelings about can this person actually do it or not, or that kind of thought if you have a woman on board. Because that's pretty strenuous sailing.
Strenuous.
So you met. Go ahead, Betty.
And a bunch of men together, they use different language a lot of times when there's not a woman around. And I think if they don't want the woman on there, they can feel more at ease.
Interesting.
That is interesting too. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I'm very surprised since both you ladies have sailed quite a bit.
30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you sail mostly with your husband?
All the time, and I was the first mate.
Yeah.
They except if we sailed some club night races here, a friend of ours, Chuck Lever, would be on board with us, mainly just as another person. He did some things. If I'd tell him, Chuck, pull the main over or something, he would do that. But it was just Ed and I, and we sailed for, well, what was it, 4 years before we joined here. And our first year or second year of having the sailboat, we went clear up to the tip of Lake Huron.
Tell me about that trip, because I was able to go to Betty's house one time and visited, and she showed me a map of the places she's been, and she showed me a little bit about that trip. Tell us about that trip. I thought that was kind of cool, so I'd like to record it so other people can hear what you did.
Well, I was still working for John Greiner, and he wasn't too happy about me leaving for a week, because at that time we only took a week, and it took about a week to get up to the North Channel, but we maybe it was 2 weeks, because to get up there you go up through the Detroit River up to Lake St. Clair, up the Lake St. Clair River, under the Mackinac Bridge.
Port Huron?
I think Port Huron, where
not
water, sure. Lake Huron comes down into the river there,
right,
at a good swift speed, and you have to go way over to the side to be able to go through it, and you have to have your motor on you. It just don't sail. And then you go to each port. Each day is a port, and you go to a bay. You should have told me to get a.
Yeah, I should. Yeah. I'm not being fair to you. I should have had you bring your map. We can probably. Now, let me ask you this about going up the Detroit River. I always heard there's a lot of current there. Is that true?
Yeah, that is current. That's another thing that we learned by experience. We were sailing up there. You can't always sail because the wind sometimes is not with you. But I thought that we were going, and then he said, "You know what? I think I got to turn the motor on. I've seen that same tree there for quite a while."
You thought it was stationary, huh?
Even though the odometer said that we were going 5 knots, yeah, we were, but we were sitting in the water, not going nowhere.
So that river is kind of fast then. Mm-hmm. Have you been up that river too, Judy?
We have, and it is. We were up there in our Catalina 25. We actually took a trip of the old Boblo Island that was up there years and years ago.
She was talking about that earlier, yeah.
We went up there 1 or 2 times, I think, with our kids, and the kids all took a friend. So we had people used to laugh at us because they said we traveled in a herd, because we had 2 boys and a girl, and each of the boys had a friend, and there was Bill and I on a 25-foot boat. So we were crowded, but
that's friendly. That's
friendly,
crowded.
Yeah. So,
but
those were good times. Those were good times, and we but that current in that river is pretty swift.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to, I would say, use a motor so you can get where you need to be. So,
What do you think? Now, both of you guys have sailed with your husbands. A lot of husband and wives don't sail together. What would you say are the up and the downsides to sailing with your spouse?
first of all, Bill and I always had a rule on our boat that it's what's said on the boat stays on the boat. Because if you
good
get in the heat
rule.
of the moment, things can fly out of your mouth that you really don't mean. Well, you mean them at the moment, but yeah. So that was always a rule that we had. I feel that I was real fortunate because Bill was a very good teacher. I knew nothing. I knew nothing.
Bill's kind of he's got a good way about him. I agree with you,
Yeah. He's very patient that way. And when we first got a boat, we got a Catalina 22.
Okay.
And he was very, very patient with me, teaching me the language, what things were, how
When you
they
said the language, I was getting a little worried.
Oh, no,
What
no, the
kind of
sailing-
language? Oh,
the sailing lingo.
Sailing language.
because all of those words, they didn't make any sense to me at the time.
Yeah.
So, as with any sport, it's got its own
Does.
verbiage.
It does,
So,
yeah.
Anyway, so we had our Catalina 22, and one of the first things that he told me was that it's not if you're going to get caught in a storm, it's when.
Boy, I tell you what, the Buccaneer taught me that this last year.
Yes. That one of the very first sailing experiences we had was out here with a storm, for me anyway, was out in the bay. We were going to sail up to Luna Pier. That was when you could get behind the wall in there and put your boat in and go have lunch or dinner or whatever at Chateau. And but it was such a nice day, we decided to just sail for a while. Well, here comes a storm. In fact, here comes two storms. The first one one of them took us over towards Little Cedar Point, and then another one came through and took us back up towards North Cape Monroe out that way. We were out in the lake forever, and I was quite petrified. I think wherever that boat is today, there's nail marks in the bulkhead from where I was hanging on because
Now, how big was that boat that you were on?
22.
Oh,
That was our 22.
you guys are rather adventurous then.
Yeah, we've been around at this end of the lake. A lot of people have sailed a lot farther than we have,
Yeah,
but we've
yeah.
been around this end of the lake. Anyway, we survived, and we got back in. We had people out looking for us that day because they knew
I'm
we were
sure.
out. But we got back in, and I kissed the ground when I got off the boat, but I still went back and did it again. So
Yeah.
Now
it's
would your husband let you dock the boat? Did you dock the boat, Betty?
in 30 years, no, I never docked the boat. My husband always took it out and put it back in the dock. In 2009, he had a stroke. Mm-hmm. So then his mind and everything sort of went away like things happen.
Yeah, sure.
And then, but I still maneuvered and sailed with him till 2012. And one of the times, and he was still docking it though, and taking it out. Well, one of the times coming in the channel, I was sailing till it was time for him to dock it. And I said, well, what do I do next? And he says, well, you're sailing it, do it. I said, oh no, you don't just put somebody in the car and say, here it is, drive. I said, you got to show me what to do. Well, he wouldn't, and I never docked it. And I said, if I run into the rock, you're going to yell at me, and I'm not docking it. And I never did.
How about you, Judy?
I docked our boat one time.
And you're still married, so it must have been okay.
Well, and it was never my thing to do. I did not want to dock the boat. When I did it the one time, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't very good. But and Bill always says, well, what if something happened to me out in the lake? What if something and I wasn't able to dock the boat myself? And I said, well, you know what? I've seen it done and been on board enough times that I could do it if I had to. It might not be pretty, but I'd get the boat where it needed to be. So that was, I guess, our understanding going forward because he didn't ask me to dock it. So
That was
Go ahead.
one of Ed's comments to me also. Well, what if something happened to him in the lake? He said, "Well, then you had to dock it, and you ran into the rocks. I wouldn't be there to yell at you anyway."
See, we all use that line. What if something happened to us? Because we get stressed when we dock, and we'd rather somebody else do it also. But
And also with him steering, I'm more quicker to get off and get the lines to attach the boat when we got to the
Right.
dock
We had-
than he was.
Right. We had our system.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was our system. Like you develop as you sail together, as anybody who sails together a lot.
yeah.
What comes
You know
next?
what line to grab when you're coming into the dock, and you know what the skipper's going to do. He's going to pull it in, get it in there, and certain speed, so you can hopefully grab the line and not miss it. But
Yeah.
and 99% of the time, it works out just fine.
Are there things you think women do better on a boat than men?
Well, I think the woman is more agile and more quicker at sometimes. And we
Sometimes.
were caught in a storm also one time in one of our adventures, going up into Lake St. Clair to the port up there. And like you said about getting caught in a storm, their entrance mark is way out. We had just seen it, and this all of a sudden storm came. And at that point, our sailboat still had the clips that you put on the forestay to pull the sail up.
The hanks? It was a
the
hank on?
hanks, yeah.
Yeah, I
We
still
didn't
have that. Yeah.
furler,
Yeah.
and it's blowing all over. Well, we saw it soon enough that I've got my foul weather gear on, and you let the sail down, but with the hanks, it keeps wanting to go up when the
Yep.
wind blows and
Yep.
it's going like this. So I had to get up there on the forestay and hold it. I mean, on the front of the boat, and hold that down, and the waves coming up. Even though I had foul weather gear on, I was soaked to the skin. But then the storm passed, and he was still in line because he was able to keep it close to that mark. And we got to the entrance because it's still quite a ways to the entrance from that marker out there in the lake. And the sun comes up. We're going in from a storm soaking wet. Here comes powerboats out in the nice sunshine. So that was our first stop for our first trip up to North Channel. I mean, yeah, up Lake Huron. And we just docked it, and he got the sails up to dry out, and we got dry clothes on and laid on the ground with our bathing suits.
You know, when you were talking about going up front to hold the sail down, I was just imagining if I told my wife, hey, listen, I need you to go up front and hold that sail down. I don't think that would be happening.
He did not tell me.
Oh.
He always said, I'll go do that. I'll go do that. I said, oh, no, you're steering. I wanted to go. I felt that was what I was able to do. And he could keep it on course.
Now, I got to tell you, my wife, I like when she goes because, like, she can, when we trim the sails, she can tell when we're in the right position and it's trimmed correctly by the feel of the tiller. I can't do that, but she will know. Now, if the wind gets real high or extremely low, she doesn't like to mess. But if it's just a regular day, so yeah, she's pretty good at steering the boat. In fact, I got a picture I just got developed. I had to take to work because she doesn't like it because her hair's blown out of place. And I say, this is what 6 knots on a beam reach looks like. And she's sitting there, she's got her legs crossed, and she's on the tiller, and she looks so relaxed. So,
You know, there is a point on the sailboat when you have it trimmed correctly, and you probably know this, that it will sail itself. if you have it trimmed correctly. It won't deviate one way or the other.
Now, would you get time on the tiller too when you were
Me?
with Bill?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you got tiller
Especially-
time.
Me too.
Especially in light air, because and if we're in a race and the wind dies and it's,
Okay.
he would put me on the helm because he doesn't have the patience to steer in anything in light air. He just doesn't. It drives him crazy.
Interesting.
Especially the last couple years that we had our boat.
Yeah?
Like I say, Ed would get it in the dock and out of the dock, but it get in the lake. He was left me to do everything else. If I had to go change the sail up on the front or anything, he would steer, but after that, he didn't even want to steer. So I knew how to steer too and trim the sails.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Now, do you think there's things on the boat that are hard for women to do? Harder?
Depending on the wind. I mean,
Expound on that.
if you've got a really strong breeze blowing, it puts more pressure on the sheet lines. If you got to trim in, it's harder. It's harder for me because it just physically is. It isn't that you can't do it. It just takes you a little more time because you don't have the strength that a man would have. Is my feeling. So, but what else could be harder? That's pretty much it. Getting around if you're heeled over, but that's anybody. Anybody would feel like that. I think pretty much just trying to trim the sails is where a lot of the strength comes in.
See, that's what I would think too, because like I said, the women can obviously steer the boat. My wife will do that just fine. Although I have to always tease because sometimes she'll go maybe where the direction that we go fastest, not necessarily where we're going. And sometimes I have to say, well, we're not going that way. Yeah, but we can go faster this way. I said, yeah, but we're going home now. So she got that from Jan, Jan and Hank. Jan does that. You'll be out with her and it's because it's faster. It's like, but we're not going there.
You got to figure out the.
Yeah.
We always said when we were not racing but cruising, we always had a rule on our boat: if we can't do, 4 knots sailing, we're going to turn the motor on and go because we want to get where we're going. So
The first few years that we had our boat, Ed wouldn't turn the motor on. It was always, I think we even just went 3 knots. But we purchased the boat in '03, and I had a co-sign for him to get it. But we didn't get married till 5 years after we had met. We got married in '85.
Okay.
Not '83. So we weren't married yet. But Ed lived next to Danny Touchon, the sailmaker. And him and his wife parted. And then Danny said to Ed, well, why don't you come over to the sail shop with me and go sailing? So Ed would go with Danny Touchon on the sailboats that he was showing some customer, basically to give Danny some time to talk to these customers, and Ed would sail. And that's where he learned a lot of his sailing. And then he wanted to buy a boat, and this was all before I knew him.
Okay.
Danny told Ed, well, you need to take one sail class first. So he connected Ed with a woman up at North Cape, because he was a member there also. And she took him out on the water to sail. And I don't remember how many times Ed said that she told him, okay, you can sail your own. You don't need any more teaching. So then Ed apparently looked around, and then we had met. John was renting a building behind Danny Touchon's sailboat sales. And then Ed would come in and out of the building. And I guess then, Ed says, Danny told him to ask me to go out.
Well, that's how you met him, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
But before an episode before that, I had said to Danny, when you take these, and before I knew Ed also, take these people out and show them how to sail. Don't you have room for one small body like me?
Ooh.
And he said, yeah, I'll get you out there. Well, he was going to take a sailboat over to the boat show. Mm-hmm. And Larry Imhoff was Danny's worker then, and he had Ed go along. So that was the first time I ever saw Ed, and we probably didn't even say 5 words to one another on that first trip over there, because Ed sailed in the channel, and Larry had me help put the sails up on the boat. And by the time we got over then to West Sister, and I wasn't that old at that time, but women, I had to go to the bathroom. So Larry said, well, there's one downstairs. You can go down. And I got down there, and then Larry said, oh, wait a minute. I got to put chemicals in there. So I sit down, and this is a learning process, because then I'm sitting down there and don't really know what I'm going to learn, that you have to find out what to look at when you're down below so you don't get sick. So by the time
you didn't vomit on the boat.
By the time I got through and went upstairs, up to the cockpit, and sat down, about the rest of the way I sat on the cockpit looking at the fish, feeding them. And we're out by West Sister now. And then Larry says, oh, I got sandwiches.
That's the
I
worst.
said, no, thank you.
That's the worst.
But then when we got to land, I was okay.
Yeah,
so
I'm
Ed and
like
I
that.
did a lot of taking Danny Touchon's brand new boats to boat shows.
Yeah?
To Cedar Point, to up there at it's in Lake St. Clair.
Oh.
Um,
Is it in
Metropolitan
Canada?
Beach.
Yeah,
Is it Metropolitan Beach?
something like that.
Yeah.
Up there somewhere.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Did you ever get sick? Judy?
Did I ever get? I've not ever physically gotten sick, but I have felt like probably it would have been better if I did.
Yeah.
I'm like Betty. I can't stay below when it's rough. When it's rough out, I can't be below for a long time. I'll go down and go to the bathroom, and then I got to come back up because I can't do that. So, but most of the time I'm okay.
Well, that was my very first, and with 30 years of learning, I could go down below.
Could you?
now.
It never changed for me. It doesn't change for me. I go below in the rough weather, and it's not a good thing.
So how would you go below and not get sick then? Since you figured out the trick, why don't you share that with the rest of us that go below, pee, and hurry back up?
Well, that's one thing you can do, but if sometimes you just need to relax. I can lay down. If I lay down,
Yeah, I've heard that's better. I've never done that.
I can be okay if I lay down.
And close your eyes, because then you're not
Yeah.
getting tricked. You're
Yeah.
Yes, when you say about the eyes, I think that's it. Because if you can look out a window and see stationed ground, that helps.
It didn't work much for me. It doesn't work much for me.
Yeah, and I guess then we all have to find out our own.
What works? Yeah.
What works.
What works for us?
Now, what about one of the things about sailing that seems to be big time views on, or what do you think about life jackets? What are your views on life jackets in sailing?
I wear a life jacket.
Do you wear one all the time when you sail?
I did. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Judy.
I have to be honest. Most of the time when we went out sailing just to sail around, weather not bad or anything, I did not have my life jacket on.
Okay,
I would be in the cockpit, and probably not the smartest thing, but that's just the way I did it.
you would
Well,
probably
then
be. Go ahead.
I probably misspoke there. If the weather wasn't bad, I wouldn't. But we were just now talking about the weather.
Right. Yeah.
So.
What about if you're up on deck messing with the sails?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Then
Okay.
even if it's just windy, or especially if I have to go down and pull the main down to the next reef,
Yeah.
I wear a life jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
And I had and especially if it was a storm, I would use a lifeline.
Harness. Yeah.
oh, that's what I was going to ask next. So you had jack lines on your boat, or did you just harness into something on the mast, or how did you do that?
Well, what we had was one that I wasn't really long. It was,
Pretty short tether?
yeah.
Okay.
And if I was up there by the main, then I would be attached more in that
Okay.
area.
Okay.
Otherwise, not big, I don't know what the length is of
I don't
a
either,
real
but-
lifeline, but if it's real line, I mean, you could fall over and just still fall in the water
Yeah,
if it
that's
was real
some of 'em.
line. So
Yeah, yeah.
a short line that was safety.
Yeah. What are your views on these auto inflates? Are you okay with those?
I guess
Because
so.
everybody's got those now.
Yeah, I guess.
Ed had one.
Okay.
But we never had to use it.
Okay.
So, but mine wasn't, and I didn't want to wear it. I had another one, but I also sewed on a strap that would go under my legs because it was
Oh, yeah, okay.
so it,
yeah.
it wouldn't go.
Wouldn't ride up when you were in the
Yeah.
water. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That is a good
actually.
idea.
I know a lot of them with the harness, I think, have that also in there. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, life jackets, I mean, usually I'll wear mine, but sometimes I forget, I have to be honest. But I try to put it on, especially if I'm going outside the boat, outside the cockpit, up on because I have Hank on foresail. And like you said, it should drop all the way, but they never do with the Hank-ons. You always got to get up there in that last little 2 feet. You got to pull that thing down, and then it wants to blow into the water, and so
We
now
always-
you got to tie it down
We
or weight
always
it down.
take a bungee up and tie it down.
Yeah. So, those are some things I learned after I put the sail in the water and then got one of the lines in the water and the motor ate it and then I had to get rescued. And then instead of the common sense thing of dropping my anchor, I started drifting and I thought I was going to visit the lighthouse.
Oh,
And we kept getting closer, and I was like, "Ah." But then after it's done, I'm thinking, how stupid am I? All I had to do is drop the anchor and wait on the towboat. But, you don't think about that stuff in the heat of the moment,
But you will the next time.
Oh, I know. And I get seasick anyway, so I always have to take something. Even I sailed my boat 25 times last year, and I always take something when I go out. Mm-hmm. And after I went down below, and I came up and was throwing up. Man, my wife was so mad. She was like, I was like, so would you go again? Don't ask me today. So, yeah, that wasn't.
There's something that calls you back.
Well,
you're talking about your fingernails. Well, I don't know. After Ed and I met, then I did some day sailing with him, and then he was going to go over to Put-in Bay. So on Friday night, okay, we're going to Put-in Bay, and a storm. No, not a storm. It was I think wind from the back, because it would go way up the rise of the water and go down, and it was not dark, and I was so scared, and I kept praying to God all the way over there, holding on to the cockpit wall there, and I told myself I'm never going in this again, and then by the time we get to the anchorage there at Put-in Bay, it's dark, we can't see, and then the motor wouldn't start. And then we bumped into a boat, and then I'm trying to grab a ball. We missed a couple of them, and finally after we did grab the ball and he had it stopped and secured, I wouldn't even go down below. I got my sleeping bag and I laid on the cockpit, and that's where I was all night. But by the time morning came, I guess I calmed down.
You had to get home, right? Yeah. I mean, you're not still a Put in Bay, so, you know.
And I didn't really think there was an option of calling one of my kids to come and drive over here to pick me up. You're in the middle of the water.
Would you say that was the scariest time you had on your boat?
Yeah, I wasn't even scared when we were out there in that storm going to up there in Lake Huron, Lake St. Clair, but I had to hold the sail down because when the tip of the boat goes in the water and it comes over you, then that would pull that sail back, and like you said, the other end in the water. So I had to be the sailbag.
Was the scariest time? Did you already share that, or was there another time it was scarier for you?
Well, there's been other storms we've been caught in. That first one I already talked about was the scariest because I was so inexperienced. I didn't know anything. I couldn't even help Bill because I couldn't get out of where I was sitting. I was just like stuck. Froze right there. But over the years, there's been other storms that we've been caught in, and it's my thinking that, the truth is, if you take care of your equipment, it's going to take care of you. So always take care of your boat and your motor and make sure the motor runs if you need it. And you're going to get through it. You'll get through it. You just have to know, obviously, I have a lot of faith in my skipper. So that helps. But yeah, have I been concerned? Yeah, I was concerned, but not as scared as that first time.
Yeah, we had a Cal 29.
Okay.
That was the first boat
That's a nice size.
That Ed bought, and we never wanted a different one. And then when it was, we had it out here in the last couple of years. I was the one that had to put it on the boat for winter, the cover.
Okay.
And he couldn't get on the ladder or anything. The last time, one of the guys working here put the cover in the front lift of their tractor and put it up on the boat for me, and I covered it up, which I had made the cover myself anyway, because I had the experience at Griner Sails.
Yeah, that was nice that you knew how to do that stuff yourself. I know you had told me you had your sewing machine up until a few years ago, right?
Yeah, I also had one commercial sail machine in my garage after I had retired. Made a few different covers for people, things that the sail shop didn't want to make, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but then I sold that also. I don't have that anymore.
All right. Any other things you guys might want to share with everybody regarding sailing or just women in sailing?
I think what I would like to share is that we have a lot of ladies in Jolly Roger Sailing Club who don't sail. They prefer not to be on a boat out in the water, but they support that their husband does. Mm-hmm. They become members of the club. They get involved for, other activities, the social activities. There's a lot going on at this club. So whether a woman wants to sail or not, that's her choice. And if her husband and she work well together on a boat and they decide to do it together, more power to them. But just know that, there's a lot of ladies in this club that don't sail. So if somebody even would be thinking about joining Jolly Roger, but they don't really think they want to be out on the water, that's fine. We love to have everybody here. Yeah, it takes everybody to make this club work.
Yeah. Yeah, the sailing people, they're not all, there's more work in the sailing club to do. When Ed and I first joined also, we were the race committee with Mike Foley, and we would go out on the boat with him. And at that particular time, there was a lot of boats, a lot of classes. I think we had 5 classes of boats that would go out here in the in the bay and around the lighthouse and back to on a course. And there would be a person from each of those classes that would be the volunteers for the kitchen duty. And they would get points for being on the kitchen duty. So they would have some kind of points to add up for their end of the season points, which was a good
That's a good idea.
thing.
That is a good idea.
That's a very good idea.
And we did that for quite a while here. And I don't know when it stopped, but
You know, Judy, you made an interesting point about a lot of people belong here and do not sail. Right now, like last night, we had euchre here. We have euchre here on Fridays right now. We'll have trivia coming up. So there's always things to do here, even if you don't sail, looking for a place just to hang out, get to know some people. We do a lot of non-sailing activities. My wife sails occasionally, but she might go 5-6 times a year, but her schedule isn't like mine. Like I'm off in the summer, so she doesn't have as much time available, but you'll come to some of the events that we have. So if you're looking for a place and you always wondered, come check us out some Friday night. You'll find we're very welcoming. We have, nice thing is we have really members of all ages. I think our youngest member is 13, maybe, up to, I wouldn't even venture.
86.
What?
86.
Oh, Betty's 86. We have people of all ages here. So, and the fun part is they all interact together. We don't see all the older folks sitting by themselves and the younger people sitting by themselves because it's just, we really do function as a family. I know that's kind of an overused thing, but I think we are a family here. So if you're looking for a place, come on out, visit us here at Jolly Roger.
Good job.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome. Those are stories we never get.